Go ahead and get started with intros. My name is Amelia Johnson. I'm the marketing manager here at GoodMaps, and today I am going to be moderating the GoodMaps Town Hall with Kevin and Kelly. So, Kevin, why don't you take it away and introduce yourself?
Yeah, so I'm Kevin Klein. I'm in the community engagement role here in Nashville, Tennessee with GoodMaps. Work a lot with the users, potential venues, other organizations. We do, testing on our end, let people know how to use the app and, the good that comes from having it in your location.
Awesome. Kelly?
Good morning and good afternoon to everybody. Thanks for joining. My name is Kelly Lovett. I reside in sunny San Diego, but formerly of Boston. And I'm our business development and partnership lead here at GoodMaps and really excited to be here. So thanks everyone for joining.
Great, thank you guys. And as other people are joining in, just a quick reminder that if you have a screen reader, you might want to turn it off so you're able to hear the webinar instead of everyone else's Q&As. And then we have a Q&A box for questions at the end. So if you have a question as you're going or you have something top of mind right now, go ahead and pop it into the Q&A section of the webinar and we'll try to get to it as best as we can. All right, so Kevin, do you want to give us a brief overview of GoodMaps and what it does?
Yeah, so first off, I just want to, thank everybody for showing up, and I wanted to host this kind of for the users, for potential venues, for our partners, just to kind of have a place for everyone to come listen to the basics and also be able to ask any questions that you might have thought of or just answer your curiosity. So basically, GoodMaps is an indoor accessible navigation app. It's inclusive to all, whether you're blind, deaf, neurodiverse, or wheelchair bound. So this started out of APH about 5 years ago, give or take. And of course, the goal was blind, low vision, and we conquered that pretty well. We had an app called Good Maps Explorer. We were in many locations throughout the world, and we started getting asked questions from transit, from universities. If you can fix the problem with blind and low vision, why can't you fix it for everyone else? So that's what we did. And about, I guess, end of October, beginning of November of last year, we released our new application, and it has augmented reality. It's got a visual map, so it is now inclusive and accessible, no matter your needs or wants, for that matter. So what it does is basically camera-based positioning gives you turn-by-turn directions in any indoor space that's mapped out by us. So, for instance, if it's an airport, a train station, a university, anything like that, if we have good maps there, you're gonna be able to walk in and get from the front door to the restroom, to a restaurant, to a bar, wherever you want to go, within our app. So what the app looks like, if you want to download it, we'll give you all the information towards the end. But when you get in, there's going to be a few options. If you're in a building, it's going to ask you, are you in this certain building? You're going to check yes to check into that building. It's going to pull up the map, and then there's going to be an option for the directory at the bottom or the search, and you can go through all the points of interest, as we call them, the POIs, and it's going to have everything listed that's a point of interest in that building. So that could be somebody's office, that could be a conference room, like I said, a restroom, water fountain, elevators, all of that. So, for instance, if you double click one of those POIs when you're in it, it'll tell you, all the directions on each of these features has its own tutorial. So you don't have to remember everything I'm saying, but you hold your phone up, and your camera on the back of your smartphone is going to recognize from our scan that we've done of the building where you are. So once it gets your position, it's going to be able to give you turn-by-turn directions to that location that you're wanting to go, and it's going to give you turn-by-turns. Also, during this, if you are in a wheelchair or stroller, luggage, just don't feel like taking the stairs, you can switch on step-free routing. And with that, it'll avoid all stairs and escalators and take you strictly on elevators. So that's another cool aspect of that. So once you get to the end of the route, it'll announce you have arrived, and then In the near future, it's going to have quick links, so Be My Eyes, Seeing AI, all of that, so you can quickly get to that. Say you want to walk to a Starbucks inside of an airport. Well, multiple things change in a Starbucks, whether it's the menu, chairs being moved, things like that. You can click Be My Eyes and immediately have that virtual assistant through our app. So that's of course for the blind low vision community, that's awesome. I personally, as a blind individual, use that function as I use our app. So, that's kind of the basics of what our app does. We don't use beacons, we don't use GPS anymore. We use LiDAR technology. So instead of, maybe 18 to 40 feet accurate with some beacons, we're 3 to we've even seen it up to 6 inches accurate of, say, that doorknob or whatever the point of interest would be. So, you're kind of wondering, well, this might be awesome. Where are we at? So we're in 8 different countries as of right now. We're in universities such as Michigan State University, Louisville, Wichita State. We're in transit with rail, network rail, sound transit. The BART in San Francisco. We're in airports such as Louisville, Portland, PDX. We're even in a Bolivian airport. We have a Walmart in Mexico. We've got museums, libraries, things like that, schools for the blind, of course, and we're continuously growing every week. And, some of you all have probably seen me post, but if you all don't, I know, like I said, I'm wanting to get in touch with the users on my position. And if you want to do that, you can go onto the Facebook group, which is GoodMaps User Community. And we're starting now to put out more content, be able to answer questions strictly from there, or email, of course. You can email any of us or community@goodmaps.com to ask any questions. Say you're in an area of whatever country you're in. We're in 3 different languages and growing. We've got Spanish, English, and Canadian French. But wherever you are, you can reach out to us and we will try and map a certain venue if it makes sense. And wherever, you're thinking, we can obviously have that conversation with you. So, with that being said, there's going to be more questions, but that's why I wanted to give a lot of time just to kind of hear the feedback from the users, the potential venues, anybody that's got questions, they can put it in the chat and we'll go back and forth trying to answer them. So I think Kelly's going to be able to speak on kind of where we're going to be in the near future, whether that's conferences or events and things like that.
Thank you, Kevin, for the warm introduction. So we get asked to be at a lot of events, regardless of the size, from five people to 50,000. So our commercial team is lean and mean. So we do try to get to as many events and speaking engagements as possible. And if you're interested at large where we're going to be, you can always join our Facebook group, which is a GoodMaps Facebook group. So we're going to do some announcements about where we're going to be this spring. So next week, we actually have a speaking engagement at Pacific Northwest AER for all of the O&M instructors, and we're doing a joint talk with our partners at Sound Transit. Later this March, we will be at CSUN. We have 2 speaking engagements and a booth. So come by the booth, and if you're at CSUN, we definitely want to meet you, and you get to experience the app live at the hotel at the Anaheim Marriott. After that, we will be at AAAE, which is American Airport Executive. It's their annual summit up in Denver, and we have a speaking engagement and a booth there as well. And shortly after that, Kevin Klein himself will be on stage at the NFB Tennessee State Convention. He'll also have a booth and a chance to meet and greet our users and any potential partners. Following that, we will be at the Visions 2024, which is FFB's annual conference with speaking engagement, a booth, and access to our app as we've mapped out the entire Marriott of downtown Chicago. And stay tuned for our summer event series, which we'll be announcing at the next town hall or in the Facebook group live. And again, if you're interested in us speaking or have an event that you think would be worth us checking out, you can always email us at community@goodmaps.com. Again, it's community@goodmaps.com. Sounded like a commercial, didn't I? I'll kick it back to you, Kevin.
It. So yeah, I mean, like I said, we're mainly the focus of this was to get some interaction, get involved. I know I see questions, whether it's my email on the Facebook group, at events that, these users or venues just don't know who to ask. So we're here today to try and answer any of those. As we go, we'll go through the chat, and any questions that are on there, we will try and answer. And if not, then maybe we'll open it up past that. So yeah, we'll start that.
Yeah, so let's just start with the top of the Q&A. We have how to determine if a location is covered by GoodMaps. I guess Kevin or Kelly want to talk about how someone can find out where our locations are.
Sure, it's simple. So if you download our app, so you go to either the Google Play or App Store and download GoodMaps, you'll be able to search our directory for locations. If you're at the location, it'll let you know that looks like you're inside this, Portland Airport, and it'll get you starting to navigate then and there. But prior to arriving to these destinations, you can actually pre-route and check out the venue from the app itself. So that's the best way to find out where it is and what's around. Or you could also join the Facebook group or email community@goodmaps.com.
And just to add to that, I know that there might be a few of our outdoor users on this call. And for those who don't know, Outdoors is a GPS-based system that we have, an app on Android and iPhone, but it's used just like you would, Google or an Apple Maps, but with blind low vision centered. So soon there will be a list on that app of indoor mapped locations. So with that, it'll in the near future, you're going to be able to see those from that app as well.
Awesome. Thank you, Kevin. So Randy's asking, I don't have a phone with LiDAR. How does this work indoors?
Okay, so you don't need a phone necessarily with LiDAR. It's basically any newer phone. I'd say 90% of the phones that we encounter work. So it's basically, say an iPhone 7 or 8 and above, and any of the Androids that aren't necessarily the bottomless, the ones you can get at the gas station or Kroger, those aren't going to work because the camera is just not powerful enough. But more than likely your phone is compatible, and we do all the LiDAR work, and then it just goes off of your phone camera.
That'll add to that. Thanks, Kevin. Basically, any smartphone from the last 6 to 7 years will work, but flip phones, these pay-as-you-go phones won't work because of the quality of the camera. So yeah, you do not need LiDAR on your phone.
Awesome. Someone says, how can I incorporate GoodMaps to all of their credit union branches at their company? Or more so, just to make it a broader question, how can I incorporate GoodMaps into my space? Where do I get started?
Kelly, I'll let you handle that if you'd like.
Sorry, I was going to hand over to you. So that's a great question. So we'd love to work with you and if that's your company or if you're just a customer. A great way to get started is if you can't say it again, but you can email us community@goodmaps.com, and we will put together an advocacy kit for you. So we'll include a letter to either your employer or to the community branch that you usually go to, and how to get the conversation started about GoodMaps. And then we take it from there. So we usually work with whether it's the customer experience team at the location, with the tech team, the innovation directors, and overall user experience if they're looking to enhance the experience of their customers as well. So we're happy to help that. Basically, the process works. We set up meetings virtually, walk them through a demo. Kevin and I kind of tag team the questions, from the operational standpoint and from a user standpoint, what that looks like. And then once the partner decides to come on board, we set up a time to go do the scan, then create the map. So from the initial conversation to the time they get mapped up and running is a few months. But yeah, we have worked with several banks and are talking to a lot of financial institutes daily. So the credit union would be a great place for us to be. So we're happy to help you with that, anonymous attendee.
Yeah, and so this question comes up quite a bit. Just people trying to figure out as a user how they can get GoodMaps into their local spaces, or how can they move the needle a little bit. So Kevin, maybe you could talk a little bit about the importance of being an advocate as a user to the spaces that you would like to see GoodMaps be in.
Yeah, so first off, I'll say, being an advocate for, yourself in general is huge. I lost my vision about 5 years ago, and I had to advocate for myself the last couple of years to get to where I am now. And that's the same with a lot of things in life. So when it comes to, advocating for a certain business or venue, whether it's an arena or an airport, it's of course reaching out to us, but at the same time, if you have anything, anybody in your mind that could be a good contact that might know somebody that knows somebody there, that just starts that conversation, because it's all about, like, you can want something all day, but we have to start the conversations. And once we do, people normally love our app. So obviously reach out to us at our email or on the Facebook group. And then, also think in your mind, like, who might I know in this area that could help us team up and, make whatever venue more accessible. And we're finding that, a lot of these locations, they want to be that first in their space that's fully accessible, whether it's blind, deaf, or uh, wheelchair bound. So yeah, it's a mixture of both, but it can all help.
Yeah, thanks, Kevin. Someone asked if GoodMaps could also be used for outdoors in a space like a retail area or a shopping mall. Kelly?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've actually spoken with several malls. They're really looking to not only increase accessibility, but just visibility of where all the shops are, since we've lost a lot of, people going into malls and shopping. A lot of people are doing online. I'm sure everyone here is guilty of that. So they're looking for new ways and innovative ways to bring customers back, into the stores. So that's definitely something we're doing. And if you know of a mall, we'd be very happy to talk to them. We've actually talked with some of the large corporate mall spaces like the Simons and Westfields. We're not there yet, but any advocating, even if one, I mean, how we got into Walmart was one customer in Mexico City said, I really want GoodMaps at this Walmart. So, you're asking these venues to be part of our partnership and part of our network does go a long way.
Awesome. Thanks, Kelly. Danielle is asking, is there a separate app for outdoor navigation? Yes, there is. Kevin, could you explain a little bit of the difference between outdoors and GoodMaps, the app?
Yes. So, eventually the goal is to have everything in one, right? But that takes time, a lot of effort, and things like that. We're trying to make what we have as perfect as possible first, and then we'll try and expand down the future. But we do have a Good Maps Outdoors. It is, been handed down. It's works well as long as you know what you're, getting. So the fact is, it's comparable. It's still using GPS. It won't be the within 6 inches, but it can be. Just like, if you're riding in an Uber, you might get dropped off right at your mailbox, or you might get dropped off the house next door. We've all experienced that one way or the other. But I use it. So I live on the outside of Nashville, and I use it when I go downtown, for instance. I'm wanting to go to a certain restaurant or leave the library that we have, this Tennessee State Library we have mapped out. I've been using that, seems very frequently, because it gives a lot of the sound hactics, the different POIs that are already in. We use Foursquare, so in the background they're already there. Most of the businesses, gas stations, lodging, things like that. And also, you can create user POIs. So if you have a larger property, and you have I don't have this, but if you have a pond in your backyard and you want to go to that dock or that area, you can put a user POI there and walk from your back door to that area. Or, for instance, if you're in a park, that's a good place to use the user POIs. You can put a point of interest in a certain area of the park that you like to go sit and relax or get shade in or whatever it is. So that's it's kind of, think of it with Google Maps or Apple Maps, but with the BLV community, more engaged into it. So
Yeah, awesome. Um, okay, next question. I think this is a good one for Kelly. Do you foresee GoodMaps being used in the VA hospitals?
That's a great question. Yes, we've started to meet with the VA hospitals. They're very interested in the partnership. They actually just launched an innovation group and application process. So we're in the midst of that. And hopefully Long Beach will be the first one out here in California with others to follow suit. So if you are advocating for the VA, I'm happy to have the conversation with you on how to get in touch with your local VA so we can keep the conversations going. And again, that's a community@goodmaps.com, or you can always email me directly, Kelly, Kelly, @goodmaps.com.
Awesome.
And Amelia, I saw a lot of questions about specific events. Unfortunately, we can't be everywhere all the time. So the events that we listed today is where we're going to be this spring. And if you're interested in getting us at your event next year, you can join the Facebook group and talk with Kevin and put the request in there.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So another user is asking, what's the cost to use the service? So, Kelly, do you want to talk a little bit about how much it costs to use the app?
Absolutely. So it's free for anyone, any user to download. What's also great about our app is that you're anonymous. So we're not, selling your data or trying to like send you 100 emails, inviting you to things. So you're literally able to download the app seamlessly and use it whenever you want. The only thing we do track is how long routes are, but the users themselves are anonymous. So the way the business model works is a venue, say an airport, decides to join our airport network. They go ahead and pay an annual license fee to be part of that network. And that cost varies depending on the size, the complexity, how many floors there are, what type of venue it is. So we work directly with the venues. And if you're interested in learning more about the pricing model for your venue, I'm happy to walk you through what that looks like. Again, Kelly @goodmaps.com.
Yeah. Also, Kevin or Kelly, we've got a couple of questions asking about the difference between GoodMaps Explorer and what the new app is called. So maybe we could just clarify the naming convention and where you can find it to download.
Yeah. So as I said, we went from Good Maps Explorer, which was a great application, but it was more blind and low vision focused only. And now our new app, which is finally Good Maps. That's it. So Good Maps, there will be a couple options on the App Store for now, but eventually Explorer will fade out once we get all of the conversions over to the new application. So the new application still has all the same accessibility for the blind low vision, just added accessibility as in the AR functions, the arrows, the visual map for the deaf, neurodiverse, and everyone else that might want to use it. So eventually it will just be Good Maps Outdoors and Good Maps, but you will still see Explorer on the App Store as well.
Awesome, thanks. Another anonymous person asked, do you guys have a beta group for testing Good Maps? I actually can take this one. We don't necessarily have a specific group, but we do have a sign up link within our newsletter that we send out monthly, or I think now it's more quarterly, that has a link for you to sign up, put your name in your area, so that if we have an event that we need some testers in, you will be the first people that we reach out to. So that's just something to think about. If you go to our website and sign up for a newsletter, you can get all different types of marketing materials from Good Maps with updates about the venues, updates about different events that we're going to, any achievements that we've had. So that's the latest and greatest place to find things about Good Maps. Okay, so and so this is another one asking about, what is the pricing for Good Maps? Kelly, do you want to speak a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So again, it's always going to be free for the end user. There's no subscription needed, just a smartphone from the last 5-6 years and the ability to, download apps from the store. So the way the partnership works with the venue, again, I did mention it depends on the complexity, but you're looking at about anywhere from $7,000 to $8,000 annually for 100,000 square foot space. So that price actually drops down the larger the square footage goes up. But we work with the venues depending on the complexity of the scan itself. and if they're looking for integration in their the app at the transit. So there's a lot of variables. Do they want to do a big marketing splash? So we're happy to work within the budget of the venue, and whether that's some of the universities started with a pilot with 8 buildings, and now they're mapped across the whole campus. So we'll work with you on your budget, and again, the end user is never going to pay a dime.
Thank you. All right, maybe this is for Kevin. How does the assistance for individuals who may be deaf look like? What are some features that they might be using with GoodMaps?
Yeah, so a lot of it would be, from my experience, it's kind of different. I am a blind individual, so I'm kind of taking a swing at this with describing the AR effect. But a lot of it's the arrows, everything being instead of announced, it might still be announced like the blind low vision accessibility, but also everything that's being announced will be on the screen. So they'll be able to use the site that they have and go off of the AR components. Kelly, if you would maybe describe a little bit what that could look like, because I've never seen it.
Happy to do that one for you, Kevin. So, as Kevin mentioned earlier in the discussion, our app was originally founded for the blind and low vision. So we always are having accessibility in our design of our product. It's at the forefront of how we were founded. So what happened was, majority of these locations were asking us, hey, could you have a visual map so this could assist others in different communities with disabilities, and or honestly anybody who just wants assistance with navigating. So the AR feature now has a live map at the top, and it has white arrows for once you put in the direction of where you're going. So someone who's deaf or hard of hearing, instead of hearing the haptics in the turn-by-turn direction, which someone who's blind or low vision is using, they're going to follow the arrow, and then the content that goes at the top of the screen is giving them a written direction. So in 120 feet, you're going to go left. It's a 7-minute walk to the Starbucks at this airport. So it's going to provide those so they can go ahead and read the map or just follow the arrows on the map. Did I cover all that, Amelia?
Yeah, awesome, thanks. Okay, let's see. So I'm still seeing a lot of questions asking how we can expand into other spaces. So maybe we can just talk again a little bit about like the advocacy part and how the whole model really works. So someone said, do you foresee this app extending into government locations? And I think the answer is yes, but Kelly, do you want to talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, government locations has been, we've had a lot of interest, especially like in Boston and in DC, and Louisville, where we're founded. So we would love to work with advocates, especially someone coming in from the ADA side of things. A lot of these government buildings do tours, have tons of visitors annually. They also are trying to recruit, people, not just, people with disabilities, but just in general, someone coming to a new building. So they can also use this as an accommodation recruitment tool to getting new employees in the door. So we're absolutely thrilled to be meeting with government. It also can be a little bit of a longer experience for those of you who've done some government contracting in the past. But once your foot's in the door with one venue in that state, usually helps spiral effect to get other buildings like on board. Amelia, I'm almost thinking we could host our own how to get GoodMaps in your venue, you talk as well, or do a Facebook, a couple posts about that as well. But yeah, we will work with you. We'll do the work. You just help us make the intro. If you don't know anyone at that venue, we provide you a letter that you can submit to their information or to their, accessibility or to their HR. That's usually how a lot of these conversations get going, whether you're just, a customer or you're an employee, we're there for you to assist. I will say off the bat, if it's a teeny little store like a Subway, for example, it's probably too small to be mapped out, and they're probably not going to want to go ahead and work with us. So it's not you; it's just the size of the store doesn't make sense for them. So, but anything that's anywhere from like 7,000 to 8,000 square feet or larger is definitely an option to map it out.
And then, going off the government, we do have like she said already, some buildings, like for instance, the MLK Library in DC is mapped out. It's more recent conversion. And then we also have a new building here in Nashville with the Tennessee State Library and Archives. That's incredible building. But, you know, once, and we've already had talks to where, you know, the higher ups in the government have seen it and they're like, oh, we want to discuss this and things like that. But it's always good to, you know, find somebody in that building that cares about accessibility, and start the conversation there too.
Yeah, someone else was talking about what kind of funding or grants might different spaces look at to be able to fund GoodMaps. Do you guys have any suggestions?
Sure, that's a great one. I'd say like we had a great experience with the city of Louisville. There was a smart city and accessibility grant that happened right when we were founding. So we were able to map out the museums, the airport, and a few other government buildings with that grant. So if you are on the grant side of things, we would love to chat with you. Again, a little bit of longer process, or if you know of a grant, usually the writing of the grant goes before the grant comes in. So just because you heard, you know, City of Houston got a $2 billion grant for smart city, all that money's been like pretty much, you know, allotted for. So we want to be in the process when the grant is being written, and then go ahead and take it from there. And we actually have a team of researchers who's helped people with the grants. We have business case studies. We have the process of quality of life studies and other things that have been helpful with getting those grants moving forward. So we do have a lot of the data available for someone who's looking to write a grant for their university, you know, for their government building, or for their city.
Gotcha, thanks. This one I think is for Kelly. What do you think would be the minimal square footage for a building for GoodMaps?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I think 7 to 8,000 feet, I think, is like the kind of where it would start. If you have a very complex, like 5 to 6,000 square foot, maybe it's a newer office, and you know it's very complex to navigate. That, you know, that's could be an option as well. But usually the sweet spot is about 7 to 8,000. But I mean, we do up to, you know, we just got it, you know, asked to do a 1 million square foot venue as well, which we can't say what, but so there's a big variance in the size, but we're always happy to have the conversation to talk about like how our, you know, how our product could be useful, you know, for your venue, regardless of the size. Does that answer, Amelia, you think? Maybe.
Yeah. So let's see here. Someone said, do we have a list of specific ways individuals who are neurodiverse, blind, wheelchair users, or any other users who have benefited from the app, in order for them to give to other locations to advocate for? So how can we give them information as to how it will work for different use cases?
I think that's a great question. So right now, Amelia's team is creating, you know, some product videos on how to use the app and the, you know, the features. Right now, when you first open the app, there is a quick tutorial. I always compare it to the Duolingo. The first time you open Duolingo, they tell you how it works and how to, you know, how to start your journey with them. And we do the same thing. So our app is very user friendly, and I know we have some product people on the call listening in as well. So I'm glad that they're going to be hearing these questions too. Today we don't have a direction by, you know, use case of specific, you know, communities, but there is some benefit to having these, you know, YouTube tutorial videos that we're creating, and I think that's a great feedback and a great question. Amelia, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I have a little bit to add here. So when we do testing, we do testing with all different types of users. So that including the BLV community, people who use wheelchairs, neurodiverse, all these different groups. So we do have feedback that we can give different buildings just to say like exactly what that use case is for. So we're working on our advocacy letters and whatnot to be able to put together a package for people to send out. But right now, the best way to get that information across is to just send Kevin or Kelly an inquiry, say, hey, can you send me some information that I can send to different venues in my community. I want to reach out to them, and we'll give you as much fuel as we can. And then hopefully we can connect with that venue and get the conversation rolling. So that's really normally how it happens. So I have a couple of questions about mapping out amusement parks, and then also being outside in things like a state park. So maybe we could talk a little bit about the interconnectivity of indoor spaces and outdoor spaces, and what we can and cannot cover through the GoodMaps app, indoors app.
Yeah, so as of right now, we're working on connected maps, but it's not there yet. But in the, hopefully in the future, like I said, there'll be a different story, but we can't do a park. There's too many different, as of right now, there's too many different variables, things like that. Amusement parks, we have had some conversations in the past. Those are a little bit different. It's circumstantial, but that would be an awesome thing to have in the future for sure. So, that would all depend on the layout and complexity and what that looked like with the open air and things like that.
Yeah. Um, okay,
I'm just gonna address we had a comment and I was gonna type it, but I'll say it here too. As someone pointed out, we don't use the words wheelchair bound, and neither do we. We actually have a whole nomenclature terminology that we go through. I think sometimes we can get a little bit nervous when we're up here with 100 people on the phone and on the line, but yes, we do use the word wheelchair users, not wheelchair bound. And if there's any other terminology, for example, we don't say visually impaired, we say blind low vision. That's just part of like our company statements. And we do have several blind low vision employees at our business too, who do assist us with those nomenclatures and all of that. So if you do have other feedback, whether you see it written in content or in one of these calls, we're like always open to feedback and providing that information along to the correct teams for education purposes. So we appreciate that.
Yeah, and speaking of feedback, Kevin, could you maybe talk a little bit about where someone could give feedback on the performance of the app, or any, ideas of changes?
Yeah. So of course, you're probably going to hear me talk about it over and over because um, I've been doing a lot of the posting on it, but the Facebook user community is a great place to go on. I'll of course post a few times a week, but I'll have users post with questions or some type of feedback, whether it's great or not so great. We want to hear either way because we want to fix whatever's not good. But that's the number one place to go. If not, you can email us as well, specifically at the community at goodmaps.com. That will, most of them, those questions will come towards me and I can do my best to help you out, troubleshoot it. And if there's anything that obviously that goes wrong, I can go test as well to make sure what the issue is, and then we can shoot that over to our development team as well.
Yeah. There's some questions about the different types of devices that GoodMaps is on. We actually do have a list on our website that lists all the different products or the different devices, different phone devices that GoodMaps is currently on. Anything else is welcomed as a suggestion. We've had lots of people suggest, oh, can I use this on my Apple Watch? What about an iPad? That sort of thing. And we can field in all of those types of suggestions. But if you go to our website and look under our about the app page, you'll be able to find that there. Okay, so there's a question from Carolina that says, and I think Kevin, you could probably answer this. She says, when she's using the stairs during a route, she's having a hard time getting back to the route. What is she doing wrong? I don't think it's about what she's doing wrong, but kind of a tip and trick of switching floors.
Yes, so that honestly that depends on the app that you are using. I'm not sure if that would be Explore still, if it's been converted over or not. With the Explorer though, if for instance, if it hasn't been converted to our new app, you need to put the phone, kind of hold it down with the camera facing down, and then climb the stairs. With the new app, you don't have to do that. So Unfortunately, without knowing the location that you are speaking of, I don't know if it's been converted or not.
Yeah, yeah. In general, when you lay the phone flat while you're switching floors or in an elevator or something like that, and then put the phone back up, it'll find your location again and continue on that route.
Which
Um,
is, with the new release a few months ago, that is one of the new features that is it's getting used to. I'm getting used to it, but it's awesome. Once you do, you don't have to worry about holding that phone a certain position at the, when you're going up and downstairs. You can hold it up and a little bit like that, and it'll get your location at the top. So, it's a change, but it's a good change. So.
yeah.
Well, I still see a lot of questions about the 3 different apps people are finding on the App Store right now. So that maybe Kevin could kind of walk everyone through what the real difference is between the 3 briefly, if that's okay, before more questions come in on that.
Oh yeah. So first off, I'll start with Explorer. Explorer is still going to be on the App Store for now until we're all converted over. Some of our maps are converted already, but we're working every day to do more. So the goal is to have everything on our new app, and then once that happens, Explorer will, go off into the sunset. But that's not happened yet. So, depending on where you are, what building, and things like that. So right now, like she had said, there's 3 apps. GoodMaps Outdoors is the GPS based application, such as Google Maps and Apple Maps, but it's got the blind low vision focus. So it's got different tactics and features and sounds. It's got a place to find. It'll have a place to find our indoor map buildings. It's got a place to find IRA locations, things like that, um, on that app. So that's going to help you. It's going to be a tool, but it's not going to be as accurate as our indoor map with indoor locations. So Good Maps is our new release, and it's going to have the augmented reality, the visual maps, and any new buildings that come on are going to be on the new release, and then all of the previous buildings will be converted over to the new release as well. So download all of them, and we will get you taken care of.
And yeah, when you go into a venue, most of our venues have the QR code to scan the app, and that should be the app that they're primarily using, whether that be the original Good Maps Explorer or the new app just called Good Maps. So again, like Kelly was saying, if you want to go into the new Good Maps app, you can look up in the directory all the different places that have the app. So that's kind of a quick place to explore around in your community.
And I'm gonna pop in real quick. So one thing that I missed, I knew I'd forget a few things, but you can, once we get off this call, if you open up the Good Maps app, you can remotely access, even if you're not in a building, you can remotely access these buildings and look at their directories once you click it. And say you're going to the Portland airport in the next few weeks and you're curious of, what restaurants or where the restrooms are, things like that, you can go in from your couch or wherever you are and look at those locations remotely.
Yeah. So there's another question about Good Maps indoors. Does it lose coverage while being in a route? I can actually answer this one. When we map a space, there's always going to be spaces that potentially have a dead zone or whatnot, but our mapping team and our dev team work to better these maps through different quality assurance stages. So if you are using Good Maps and you go through a space and you're not able to connect or whatnot, just thumbs down the route or type in what's going on while you're using the app as feedback. But in general, those are things that can be improved upon as the map is being built.
I'm also going to put into the chat the link to the actual app store, because a few people are asking, they're clicking on the wrong one, so they're not sure. So I'll put that in there too, if I can, if it lets me.
Yeah. Yeah, so we're just about to wrap up, but just to give everyone a little bit of a refresher of how you can get a hold of us specifically, Kelly and Kevin can be found at community@goodmaps.com, as well as their individual email addresses. If you go to the GoodMaps website, you can sign up for our newsletter. If you go to the individual pages, you can also find different case studies and different information about the app, as well as a link to our knowledge base, which has all of our product information, our product manuals about the app. But if you want to hear more in general or get a quote, you can reach out to info@goodmaps.com.
And it won't actually let me put the link. So if someone from the team who's a attendee, not a panelist, you send the link out, that would be great. Just put it in the Q&A as a Q, please and thanks.
And if you guys, once again, if you join the GoodMaps user community on Facebook, we'll have the links as well on there, and then updates with any new venues, new features, and still can answer questions there.
Yeah, the user community is a great place for any questions, asking about different spaces, because Kevin is always looking into the user community and answering questions throughout the day. And it's just a really great place for us to cumulatively have all the feedback around the app and the products in general. So after this webinar, we'll send this out in an email again to everyone that registered. And then you can get a link to this as a YouTube video, as well as where you can sign up for the user community, the email addresses we're talking about, and how to download the app. So we'll send that out later this week once the video is ready. So thanks everyone for joining, and thanks Kelly and Kevin for letting everyone know about GoodMaps.
I appreciate it, everyone.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Thanks. Have a good one.
Bye-bye.